أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I meet you once again to discuss about the ninth Holy Divine Imam Muhammad bin Ali Al-Jawad alayhi salam. I've previously discussed about his personality and some of the things that are mentioned with him, and especially about his title Al-Jawad. And I would like to briefly discuss some of other important aspects related to this holy personality. And one important turning point is when this Imam, at his young age, met the Caliph of his time, the king of his time, Al-Ma'mun Al-Abbasi, who was very close to the eighth Imam, as we know, and he had actually met him, the crown prince, at a certain time. And he came across the ninth Imam. He met him at one point. The first encounter between Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad and Ma'mun was in Baghdad, as reported by historians, where they say that Ma'mun and his group were going for hunting. It was a habit of the rulers of that time to enjoy themselves and to engage in such a kind of adventures. So they were moving on their caravan to a faraway place for hunting. When children saw that this caravan was approaching, they ran away from the road. And among them was Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad, who stopped where he was, and he could not run away from the caravan of Mamun. Mamun approached and asked him, why is it that others are running away? They are distancing themselves, and he was not behaving the same way. He was stuck, he was still in his place, not shaking and anything. And Imam Muhammad al-Jawad eloquently replied to him and told him, the road is not that narrow that I need to move away so that I allow you to move, because it is sufficient enough for all of us. And I'm not guilty of anything. I've not done anything wrong, so that I ran away from you. Ma'mun was astonished and was surprised to the answer of this very young boy at that time, and that courage that he had. He asked him, whose son are you? And Imam alayhi salam replied that I'm the son of Ali ibn Rida. And of course, Ma'mun would immediately connect Imam Muhammad al-Jawad with Imam Rida, whom he had lived with for some time, and he knew how they are, and others from among the people of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Ma'mun proceeded with his own trip. When he arrived at the place of hunting, he set free the falcon that was with him. The falcon disappeared, and after some time, it came back with a little fish. Now, when Ma'mun got back to Baghdad and came to the palace, and he met again on the way Imam Muhammad al-Jawad alayhi salam, he asked him, would you tell me what is in my hand? And Imam Jawad alayhi salam replied that Allah Almighty has created in the sea of his power, a small fish that is fished by the falcons of the kings and caliphs, to try with it the progeny of Al-Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Ma'mun could not hide his own admiration and said, indeed, you are the son of Ar-Rida. And he started getting closer to Al-Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam, and trying to now be more closer to him than before. And it came to a point that Ma'mun wished to give his own daughter, al-Fadl, to Al-Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam. He wanted to get married to her. This was not uh, the first time. The first time that Ma'mun had done so out of his own motives was with his own father, Imam Rida alayhi salam, when he made him marry his elder daughter. And at this time now, he is doing the same thing with the son of Imam Rida alayhi salam, and he wants him to get married to his other daughter, which is who is al-Fadl. The reasons could be many, and I would not want to dwell on why did Ma'mun exactly wanted to get his daughter married to Imam Jawad, though Imam Jawad was at that young age. Probably, and this is out of the understanding of the personality of Al-Ma'mun Al-Abbasi, a very clever politician of his own time. Ma'mun always wished to use his own ways and tactics of getting control of the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and to get them under his own authority and influence. He wanted to manipulate them, and he actually intended to play a trick on them and somehow get them in his own way, and move the people from them, cut that relationship between them and the people, make the imams look ordinary people, and not distinguish or not different from others, and actually follow in their own role. And he did so with the father, Imam Rida alayhi salam, and we know what happened to him when his plots, ended up unsuccessfully. And actually, he made the personality of Imam Rida alayhi salam to be known more by people, and to be liked by people more, something that made him jealousy, and he could not even stand it at the end. And these are same reasons that he could could be the reasons why he was actually planning to get his daughter to marry his daughter to Al-Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam. Whatever the case, this issue was not also very much supported by the Abbasids, who are feeling like this is in a way going to take the power from their own hands and move it to the house of the Alawis, or the sons of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam, and to the house of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And therefore they opposed this issue of him getting his daughter married to Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad, and they actually discussed it and suggested to him so many things. He listened to them. He did not agree with them. He opposed it, and he gave his own reasons why he admires the personality of Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad, and he wants his daughter to get married to him. They suggest that let him then grow up, and then you could marry your daughter to him. However, he insisted that he should marry the daughter to Muhammad Jawad, and that he has enough understanding and knowledge, more than what the people were thinking about. And they only had to agree with him to put a challenge to actually prove this fact that the son, Muhammad Al-Jawad, at that young age was endowed with knowledge and understanding, and he would qualify to marry the daughter of the Caliph. And he accepted to give them that chance to prove it. And so they discussed amongst themselves, and they ended up agreeing that now the person that we should bring on board to test the knowledge of this young boy is Yahya bin Aktham. Yahya bin Aktham was one of the distinguished scholars of his time. He was the judge that was respected in Iraq. And therefore, he was approached and he was told that you have to put certain questions to this boy and defeat him so that Ma'mun can be convinced not to marry his daughter to him, and therefore they succeed in their own plan. And this is what happened, a very interesting encounter that occurred in the life of Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam, when Yahya bin Aktham actually came to Imam alayhi salam and decided to put to test the knowledge of Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam. So he asked Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam to not to learn something from him, but to defeat him and tell the people that he is not of the age and he is not of that knowledge that would qualify him to be of this status. And he put the questions to Imam alayhi salam. The question that he asked the Imam in the attendance of many people, and he wanted people to witness all this happening. He says he told him, "May Allah make me your ransom. Or may I die for you. What do you say about a muhrim who killed a game? A person who is performing Hajj ends up killing an animal while hunting. What's your opinion on that?" Now, this to him was a very complicated and difficult question that would put maybe Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam in some sort of trouble. However, to his astonishment, Imam Muhammad Jawad alayhi salam broadened the question and made it wider. Imam asked him in a different way. He says, did he kill the game while being in his ihram or not? Number two, was he aware of that or was he not? Did he kill it intentionally or not? Was the muhrim a free person or a slave? Was he a child or an adult? Was the game from birds or other than birds? Was it young or a grown-up? Did the muhrim insist on his doing or he repented? Was it in the night or during the day? Was the muhrim in the major hajj or in the main hajj? That is he performing a hajj or umrah? And all these questions were derived and were created by Al-Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam instantly, and wanted to make now the very ambiguous question to be clear. Yahya was so much astonished and confused, and a failure appeared on him. He could not imagine, of these branches that would be made from these questions. Loud calls of takbir and tahleel filled the hall, and it was clear that the Imams alayhim salam were the source of knowledge and the wisdom, and the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted them with that from the young age, and just like he gave the prophets alayhim salam such kind of understanding, such knowledge. Now, Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam divided this question into these branches, although some of them had the same verdict as if when the killing of the animal was the night or the day, to confute the opponent who had questioned Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam just for testing and not for perceiving. When Al-Ma'mun saw that Yahya had failed, he turned to the Abbasids and said to them, "Praise be to Allah for this blessing, for the successfulness of my opinion. Do you now agree do you know now that you have, I have more understanding, more knowledge than you are regarding him. And therefore, at this point, they had no choice but to agree on the plan of Ma'mun to engage his own daughter with Al-Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam, who was at that very tender age. And arrangements were made so that he could get married or he could marry the daughter of Ma'mun. And there was a ceremony that was arranged. But something to point out, just for the purpose of us understanding some of the important aspects in the lives of the Imams and how they were tested and how they successfully went through those tests, that when now a gathering, a celebration or a ceremony was arranged, and slave girls were asked, to accompany the girl that was to be given to Imam Jawad alayhi salam, and another man was singing and using the flute, all that to amusement and all that. Imam alayhi salam never raised his head left or right, or looked at any of these people, of these girls. And when this man started singing, he just pointed to him that, "Oh man, fear Allah." And this man, out of shock, he trembled, and the flute fell down, and he could not do it anymore again. And Ma'mun inquired, from him what happened. He said that, when Muhammad, son of Ali Rida, commanded me not to sing and to fear Allah, I couldn't, I couldn't reply, or I could not remain firm, and this hand has been shaking from such time. Anyway, in another incident, now Ma'mun wanted to find out the answers for these questions that Imam alayhi salam had put forward to Yahya in expounding on his own question. And there are two narrations regarding this same question. One is very detailed, but the other one is a bit brief. Maybe the narrator tried to brief the answer. And for the purpose of us trying to understand some of these things, though not very important, I would recommend that one goes back to the books of Tariq and history and reads at length the books that have discussed the history and lives of Imam alayhi salam. One of the books is the life of Muhammad Al-Jawad, written by Sheikh Qarashi, which discusses about these two narrations. I briefly mentioned the second narration, which is reported by Sheikh Al-Mufid, and it says that Ma'mun asked Imam Muhammad alayhi salam, Abu Ja'far, "May I be your ransom? Would you please mention the jurisprudence of what you have detailed so that we could know and make use of it?" Al-Imam alayhi salam replied and said, "If a muhrim kills a game while being out of his ihram, and the game is from grown-up birds, he has to pay or to slaughter a sheep as a penance or atonement. And if he kills it during his ihram, the atonement is doubled to him. If he kills a young bird when being out of his ihram, he has to pay a lamb that is weaned. And if he kills it during his ihram, he has to pay a lamb and the price of the young bird he has killed. If the game being killed is from beasts, such as zebra, the atonement is a cow, and if it is an ostrich, the atonement is a cow or a camel. If it's a deer, the atonement is a sheep, and it goes on giving in details some of the ahkam related to this, which we can find in the books of Sirah and Tariq that have discussed about this instant. Now it was the turn of Imam alayhi salam to pose his own challenge and question to Yahya bin Aktham. And Imam alayhi salam asked him, may I ask you? Yahya said politely, it is up to you. Because he knew that at this point he has already proven to the people that he has more knowledge and understanding more than the Qadi of the whole Baghdad or the whole of Iraq. It's up to you. May I be your ransom? I may know the answer to your question. He was not sure that he was answer his question. Otherwise, I shall benefit from you. Imam Jawad alayhi salam asked Yahya bin Aktham a question that somehow was like a riddle, but Yahya could not answer it. And this is also mentioned in the books of the hadith, and one would make an effort to try and get the answer, the question and the answer. I leave it to you, my dear brother and sister, to find out more. And this is how it ended up that Imam Muhammad Jawad was now given the daughter of Ma'mun. He got married to her, although the marriage was not consummated until after some time, after him traveling back to Yathrib, and after a period of time, he traveled back to Baghdad to consummate his marriage to al-Fadl, whereby many people, including the Hashemites and Alawites, came to congratulate him on that occasion. One thing that we mentioned here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, in his own wisdom and his plans, willed that the children or the Imam or the successor of Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad would not come from the daughter of Ma'mun al-Fadl, rather from another different woman. And Imam Muhammad Jawad, while he was back with al-Fadl in Medina, he got married to one of the girls, the slave girls, and it was her that gave birth to the 10th Imam Ali, his son. And this was something that caused the envy and the jealousy of al-Fadl, that when she went back to Baghdad, she complained about the Imam Muhammad al-Jawad. However, it is said that her father could not listen to her. But where after the death of Ma'mun, who died also not very old in his own caliphate, Ma'mun, a very powerful ruler at his own time, the person that came in his place is known as Mu'tasim. Mu'tasim was very different from Ma'mun in many ways. One of the attributes of Mu'tasim is known of being a person who was against scholars, who was against knowledge. He was an ignorant person, a foolish person who just wanted to indulge in pleasures and in desires, and he was never, bothered with knowledge, and he would not actually give any regard to people with knowledge. And he is also known of hating the people from the Arab lineage because his mother Marida was Turkish. He brought closer the Turkish people and made them the ones that would be his own assistants in ruling, and they took control of many things during his own time. And this Mu'tasim had so much hatred against Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam. Imam also was fully aware of that. At a very young stage of his own rule. And while Imam was only about 25 years old, this is in the year 220, he ordered that Imam should be brought from Medina to Baghdad. Imam was aware of the plot, and he was aware of what he really intends. Immediately, Imam reached Baghdad. He put him under the house arrest and disconnected him from the people and from engaging in any activity of serving the people. And he made sure that Imam would not leave the house or would not do anything, or people who went to see him would be controlled and would be monitored properly. And it reached a point whereby this Mu'tasim, and out of also incitement of some scholars at his time, one that is known to have played a big role in inciting Mu'tasim against Imam is known as Abu Dawud as-Sajastani, who was also a faqih of that time. And out of envy to Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad alayhi salam, he instigated Mu'tasim against him and made him that this, convinced him that this man endangers your own rule and you should be careful of him. Otherwise, you would lose your own power and your own control. And this one factor that contributed to them, making the crime of killing Al-Imam alayhi salam. And this is how it was at the end, that Mu'tasim and some reporters of history, have pointed out that he incited and he collaborated with his niece al-Fadl to poison the Imam alayhi salam. Though some reports say that the arrangement to poison the Imam were made differently. He was taken. He was forced to have some meal at one of the deputies or the assistants of Mu'tasim, and there he was poisoned, and Imam immediately realized that he had been poisoned, and he rode on his animal back to his house where he died. But some strong indications are that actually he was poisoned by his own wife, al-Fadl, and because of her own jealousy and because of the enmity of Mu'tasim, who convinced her to take the poison to Imam alayhi salam through the grapes that they had taken to him. He ate a bit of it and he realized that it had poison, and it started eating into his own intestines and eventually causing the death of this Imam. Very sad incident that happened to the Imam, who had actually predicted before and had warned that it will not be more than 30 months after the death of Ma'mun that his deliverance will come. This deliverance was to mean that he would depart from this world and follow his own forefathers enjoying the other world. He was predicting that, and he gave this information news to his followers and pointed to them that the leader and the Imam after him is the Imam Ali, known as An-Naqi or At-Taqi. He would be the Imam after him. So when the Imam alayhi salam came to his last point to breathe his last, and he died alone, thirsty in his own house, not being served by anybody, he was prepared and for burial, and it is said that his own son Ali supervised the preparations and the burial of his own father, and he was taken to the Maqabir Quraysh, to the cemetery of the Quraysh, where he was buried along his own grandfather Imam Musa Al-Kadhim, the place famously known afterwards as Al-Kadhimain, where the two holy personalities are made, two important personalities that are the means and ways of reaching to different hajat of a person. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we be able to visit their shrines and their tombs and to benefit from the barakats, the blessings that are in that place where these holy personalities are buried. This little would suffice at the moment about this holy personality, hoping that inshallah ta'ala in the future would be having more time to discuss at length some important aspects related to this holy personality of Imam Muhammad Al-Jawad. Akhir dawan alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.